I have a clock.
Yeah, on the church steeple. Yeah,
Church steeple, I
I've got that.
I have
Chimneys.
I have lots of chimneys.
Lots of
and,
chimneys,
Of course,
alright.
windows, doors,
Yeah,
etc.
etc.
Pavement.
Yeah.
But mine is the road is cobbled.
Nope, I have a main asphalted street with a typical British roundabout in the middle, which means for me that you can drive over the roundabout, which is wonderful.
Okay, well, I'm predating that by a long way.
Okay. I got a Halifax office. No.
I've
got people. Yeah. People walking down the street.
Style of the painting is more Matisse. Mine is
No,
more.
that's set in order.
I think I've got a Dixon's.
Matisse medium.
I got like men and women umbrellas, street lights.
Yes.
Street lights, yes. Umbrellas, no. Market stalls, yes.
Okay.
If it helps, I've got
dog.
I have a lot of primary.
A small dog in
No.
Black.
But if it does help, I do know where I am. I'm in Northumbria.
Really? I really couldn't tell you where I am. This
Okay.
is so old, it predates
Do
me.
you have any people in
Okay.
there?
So let me see. So maybe it's possible that we have the same picture of the same place, except that it's
So
years.
I think your picture is more
possible.
like landscape. Mine's more.
It's not a landscape, no. I'm actually I'm in a flat.
Mine's
It looks like-
Marigate.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
balcony.
Okay.
Looking out
Okay,
over
mine
No.
too.
the
Mine
sea.
I just know that I'm in Northumbria because that's what it says on the public transport bus.
Do you have any palm trees?
Okay, so we've got the church steeple, the clock.
I've got apart from windows, doors, and obviously I've got
Okay, I have
like
like one
old
palm
style
tree and
roofing.
one coconut.
I've got like
Coconut.
tile roofing, yeah,
Slate roof.
yeah, a few of those.
Looks like canopies, like push-out
Oh
canopies
yeah, I have
or
like.
pull-out
well, I have
canopies.
I've got one of those.
Like on front
Two.
of shops. You know?
On fronts of shops too.
Alex, can you just give us a summary of similarities and differences?
Yeah, we both have a church steeple with a clock on it. Lots of chimneys, old style roofing, pull-out canopies. Both of, we're guessing a main street, except that at like very different times in history. And that's pretty much it. Well, main street, people, market, and these things.
Can we see your pictures? Can everybody see your pictures?
Oh.
The same place.
It's the same place.
Exactly. It's a town called Berwick-on-Tweed, on the border of England and Scotland, and it's actually taken from the same bridge. Yeah.
Funny.
See, he said he had the sea. I got fog.
It's just a different day, dude.
Oh, that was probably true.
But we did actually mention that. Is
Okay.
it possible that we have the same picture but at different times in history?
So,
Well, I think we both have a view of looking out over a balcony onto a scene. Mine is looking out over the sea with an island. We both have birds, white birds, different coloured birds. We have trees. We're not, because of the style of the painting, we're not exactly what kind of trees, but there's one that looks like it has black coconuts.
Yeah.
black coconuts. Okay, can we see both pictures?
Oh, by the same artist, no?
Yeah, it's not artist impression of.
Yeah. It's the same artist, the same period, painted in the same room.
Probably,
Yeah, in Cadaqués.
Okay.
It's,
One's more
both
like
Picasso.
zoned in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One's more zoned in, yeah, perfect.
Yeah, when you used to go and stay with Salvador Dali.
Okay.
Right, Amy.
I think we both have, like, there's definitely a big dining table in the room, so it's like an eating situation. We have a rug and a tablecloth, there's a light hanging above the table, and we both have a tile floor. Differences are, mine also includes like a basic kitchen. There's this picture, there's more items on the walls, it's a bit more cluttered.
Both have decorational dishes on the walls.
Yeah. And another
Which is always
difference.
Mine had some plants.
Ah, yes.
Show us the pictures together. Okay, so yeah, we've got empty dining rooms. Yeah, as you can see, it's quite a different feeling between them. The one on the right, Amy's one, is the Anne Frank house in Amsterdam, where with students you could tell, what do you know about the story of Anne Frank? Family lived making no noise in this house for 4 years until they were betrayed, blah, blah. And on the left, we have the dining room Claude Monet at Giverny. Yeah, everything is very, very beautiful, very harmonious here. Tones of yellow and blue. Yeah, this is when Monet was rich and famous. Okay, so yeah, I have a collection of these. They're people cheating at cards. Actually, you can't all see it. Yeah, with people cheating at cards. It takes a while to spot that. Exactly the same view at pretty much the same time, painted by different artists.
Yeah.
So you get a very, very different feeling of Canaletto's view and the Guardi's view of Venice. Where for Canaletto there was we'd call it photoshopping. Two paintings by the same artist, very thematically rated, Ellis Lowry. The same building, different times, shot from different sides. And for a threesome, we have 3 images of the Tower of Babel
Oh,
by different artists. 2 paintings, same artist, same period. And photographs and things with a little bit more, to say about them too. Those disturbing images in different ways. So I have a collection of these, and I usually had some in my class, in my bag when I travel. Until down to what level could you do this activity?
Well, depending on the range of vocab,
Quite basic level.
Basic.
Yeah, I mean, if I had a group who were at, elementary, this is doable. What can you see? What's going on? What are the differences? There is an old man and an old woman, and next to them there is. Okay, Smith had a little task while you were doing that. Anything to share?
Everybody was using I have rather than there is I have.
Yeah.
Cluttered, my scenario, predates, old style roofing, and pull out canopies.
Mm-hmm. I mean, in terms of grammar and expressions, anything that was frequent apart from I have?
They all used I have these all the time. I have this, I have that, I don't have this, and I don't have that.
Yeah.
I didn't notice anything particularly.
When I've done this with teachers another time, the words which appear very, very often are mine, yours, mine has got, yours has got, which in a sense is quite low-level language, but something that we don't teach very much, and learners would be unlikely to come up with spontaneously. Okay, now looking at teaching one-to-one. Here are a couple of real comments.
Bless you.
Thank you.
If a teacher fails the 4-week teacher
The
training course.
CELTA.
oh, okay.
Okay.
So 1-to-1 is second class.
What are your reactions to the first comment?
I don't.
I don't agree with that at all.
I don't agree with either.
I think
Okay,
it
we
is.
just do it.
I honestly think it is harder to teach a one-to-one class than it is to teach a group class,
I
by
agree
far.
also. It's much easier to improvise in a group scenario than
Yeah.
in one.
One-to-one, you have to be adaptable, flexible, subjective to how the student's feeling and what he wants on that day.
I think it requires more prep time on the teacher's part as well, because you're customizing the course. I mean, you have to have a general kind of outline for the length of the course, and depending on the student's mood, or if the student is this or that on the day, it's like you have to have more resources to change depending on the student's
Okay.
feedback.
Shortly, I'll tell you why I disagree with almost everything you said,
Oh.
but not just yet. Okay. Especially the first part. Yeah, I mean, what I get from that is to get this feeling of is somehow second class, anybody can do it. Even if you fail the self, which you've got to be pretty bad to fail the self. Yeah, you can still go and teach one, but one, yeah, it's like it's below the salt. You know the expression.
Yeah.
But like, isn't this more in the context of like you could be like a private tutor because no one's really going to find out your credentials and whatever. So
Yeah.
like a lot of people who travel do this kind of stuff.
Yeah, very second class. Yeah, and then the second one.
You have to stay on topic. You have to stay on track. I mean, you always have, you always branch off. You always, develop things in a different style. But that doesn't mean you can't really do any proper teaching.
Yeah.
I think you do more teaching.
Yeah,
Definitely. I think it's the country. The student can't escape.
I mean, my question for this person would be, what is proper
What
teaching?
is proper teaching? Also?
Yeah, is sort of, class control, ABC, A's over here, B's over here. Is that proper teaching? No, that's management. It's and it's important, but it's not really, not teaching.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was particularly sad about this is that this was actually said by a recruiter, the head of recruitment, the head of recruitment department at IH London, and the second was by a real quote by a teacher trainer. And so these are pretty sad. If they are institutional views of one-to-one. Okay, let's look at the one-to-one teaching. It's like a 1 minute stream of consciousness or a one-to-one view. Can you relate to that in any way?
I think that's more female thing.
So this is stream of consciousness, like what the teacher's
On the
thinking.
teacher in 1 minute in a one-to-one class.
That's terrible.
Obviously, this person's classes are not very interesting.
I don't think this teacher is happy teaching one-to-one.
Definitely a woman.
We don't have that many thoughts.
Bobby said that.
Yeah.
But it's possible in this sense. I mean, I can relate to it. I love one-to-one teaching in the sense that the time seems to pass in a different way, and short pauses can seem to be long silences. One more visual. Nice one for you guys. Here. In a sense, any kind of group teaching situation has a little bit to do with this metaphor. You would have the instructor. You have one person who's following everything, and maybe this person is even in the wrong level. Yeah, maybe this person could be one person who's got about half of it, one person who's got a little bit less, and at the end, and that's in a sense that's the reality of any largish group situation. If there are 10 students in the group, for a lucky 3 or 4, the pace is great, and for 2 or 3, it's going to be too slow or too fast. That's inevitable. And no matter how good a teacher you are, you can't actually be dealing with this person and this person at the same time.
There is a saying in STEAM that your classes can only move as fast as the slowest person.
Yeah.
And it's very, very difficult to deal with as an instructor, and it's very difficult to deal with as a teacher as well.
Yeah.
This guy's a really bad STEAM instructor.
Yeah.
You never give a class like that.
Okay, but if you're a teacher and you've got, let's say, I know your class is quite small here, but if you've got 10 students, do you go at the pace of the slowest?
You can't.
No. You lose 9 of them.
Yeah.
And so, as a teacher in front of a group, you're constantly making decisions every few seconds about, okay, we move on now, or am I going to wait until Monse gets it? And that could take forever. You're making these decisions on. Whereas one-to-one is this. It has to be this. It moves out that learner's optimum speed. Slow student, slow class, perfect for her. Fast student, fast class, perfect for her. It's optimum for the student. Optimal, optimal. Yep. So, I'd like you to make a list of all the things that you can't do with one-to-one. All the techniques that you've learned over the years, things that you cannot do with a one-to-one class. Do this individually for a minute. This one. Thank you. Okay, most of you have stopped writing. Right, what have we got? What can't we do?
I've only got a really developed scenario requiring more than 2 people.
Role playing.
I put weaving.
You can role play with it.
Okay, yeah. Things like the simulation you did the other day, you know, can't do that. And role play?
Yeah, I put pair work, I put role play. I think I'll put a question mark next to that because it's how much kind of a partner are you, and how much of a teacher are you?
I do role play in every single one-to-one class. Yeah, but I give maybe I'm preparing someone for something.
Yeah.
And okay, so maybe the first time we do it, I'm her, and she's the client, and then we switch roles. Do role plays all the time, and pair work.
But the dynamics is different.
Dynamics different. Yeah, but it's still. It's still the kind of pair work you've just done with the photos of the paintings. Yeah, that can be done with one-to-one. I do pair work all the time.
Get students to correct themselves.
Sorry?
Get students to correct themselves.
Each other?
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Themselves or each other?
Each other, sorry.
Okay.
Not
Peer.
themselves.
Yeah.
Exactly. Self-correction, fine.
Yeah.
Peer correction, no, you can't. Okay, I've got nothing against peer correction. But if you asked 100 students, 100 learners, who would you rather be corrected by? Another student or the teacher? What do you think most of them would say?
Your teacher,
Why?
because you have the authority.
Trust.
Sorry? The authority.
Yeah, it's like they assume it's like really the correct answer, whereas maybe the other students are like, well, you don't speak English so well, so maybe it's
No,
not.
trust
They
and
trust
respect.
you more,
I think it's like, for example, if I know that I'm the same level as Bobby, I'm embarrassed that he knows the word and I don't, or he's correcting me. I'm kind of like, well, you know, it's not that I don't want the correction or whatever. It's just like,
You don't get the same value.
Because generally students do big correction and they look at you to be like, yes, that's correct.
Yeah,
So,
they expect the teacher to top and tail
Yeah.
everything, don't they? Yeah.
It's difficult to leave students in control.
Sorry?
Like you can't really step aside.
yeah.
You know, you can't be like, okay, we'll discuss this, because they would just be sitting there in silence and you'd be okay, this is awkward.
Class hierarchy.
No, because the idea of stepping aside is to have them talk, debate,
Yeah.
it's not just to be sitting there thinking.
No, well, yeah, maybe I've had times when I'm preparing something for a presentation. I can be listening for a long time to the students' rehearsal. You have to be there all the time.
Yeah, you're always on.
In every sense. Where in a group situation, you know, you can sort of disconnect a little bit, and I'll go and get some dictionaries or whatever, or do razor. But you're on all the time, so it can be more draining in that sense.
Things like debates as well.
Yeah.
Like you
Although-
wanna have like a big class, otherwise it's just their opinion. You end up playing like devil's advocate for everything. Like, okay, I don't agree with this, and they're like, come on, you know.
But I quite often get involved debates between like the Republican candidate and the Democratic candidate.
Wow, trying to avoid those.
Debates often involve two people, lots of domestic situations. With your partner, you want to do something that, in fact, it's been calculated that something like 83% of all our interactions are with one other person. Well, you think about it. Yeah, in fact, really, the group situation is the minority in real life. Basically all telephone calls for a start. Yeah, and I would say the most important, powerful, intimate, movie moments of your life are probably with, dare I say, with one other person. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Also, you don't have as much competition. I find this with if you have like a private student who's like a teenager or a child, it's a very different situation to if you have like 2 or 3. Because if you create competition with children, they're super motivated. Whereas if you're like, okay, me against you, they're like, well, obviously you're gonna win. So
yeah, I might not do competitions in a one-to-one situation.
No, but like if you have 2 kids in a class,
Yeah.
Come on, you're
you
not
can create
tired.
competition between them, and they're motivated to work with one student.
Yeah.
Like they don't have necessarily as much motivation to beat
Yeah.
somebody
So
else.
let's put that in the
Those are
category of
very bad.
student interaction. That's something we can't do.
It could be difficult to, if you wade into like taboo territory, it can be a little bit difficult to diffuse or
Get
get yourself
back.
out of the hole.
Or
When it's just you and another person,
but then
sometimes
that's
like, oh.
equally true
No.
in a group situation.
But in a group, you always have like the difference of opinions, and there's more people on one side or on another side. When it's one-to-one, it's you and the other person.
Again, I disagree, and I'll say why in a few minutes.
He doesn't know I'm not ill.
I was just thinking about that.
Okay. Anything else we can't do?
I have one more. Yeah.
Go on.
Weaving.
What?
Weaving, where you ask somebody to do something, then he asks somebody else, and you make the group play with an exercise. Just put one guy to do it once, and that's all you can do with it.
Okay. I've never heard the word weaving before in this context. All right. Can't do that.
I just
Can you
wrote
give an
one.
example of weaving?
No, that's in America.
Well, I came across
Wicker
it
basket.
last place I worked. They were very big on weaving.
Weaving.
Yeah.
That is asking
Keep it in the class.
take a subject and you say, okay, give me a color, any color,
Turquoise.
turquoise. Ask him the same question I asked you.
Give me a color.
Blue.
Try the same thing over there. You carry on. And everybody practices that question. Give me a color. It's just a way of it's called weaving in certain circles.
Me, I can live without weaving. I think. All right. Tess, you have one.
I was going to say, I think that there are some areas, for example, I am agree. In a group scenario, I think it's easier. For example, in private classes, students really get, oh, I can't believe I keep on saying that, blah, blah, I must be stupid. But in a group scenario, everyone realizes that that's something that everyone does.
Mm-hmm.
So not only do you have more exposure to student errors, common errors, but also you don't get so frustrated with yourself that you keep on doing it just because everyone is kind of in the same scenario.
Same. No. Although, if you can think in one-to-one, you can actually fine-tune the error correction. So I'm not. Let's say there's a class of 10 students, and a couple of students keep saying that. All right, you have to make this decision. Okay, will I correct? Will I not correct? Probably I will. I don't know. But in a one-to-one situation, if it doesn't come up, you don't correct it, and so you correct only what that person needs. So in a sense, there's no time wasted, no correction wasted. I know students who actually finally got on top of things like A, E, I, G and J and B and V, and they get frustrated when some of their classmates haven't made the effort. And slow them down. Say, come on, maybe they are. So in fact, the list is pretty short. And if you look at the next page of things you can and can't do, I added something there. Okay, we've got 4 things there. You can't do running dictations. Fine. Again, I can live without running dictations.
You stand in place and dictate.
where the students like continue the story.
Okay, you have, all right, you have 2 or 3 groups of students. Maybe there are 3 students in each. Okay, you've got 9 students, and you have 3 A's, 3 B's, and 3 C's. You have, as a teacher, you have 1 of the A's, 1 of the B's, 1 of the C's, and you dictate a sentence to those, and then they remember it, run back to their groups, dictate it to the writer, and then as soon as possible they send another runner, and then that person goes back, they send another runner, and so on.
This is really good with kids.
Yeah.
Right. You agree with that?
It's not something I would probably do very often with adults anyway. Yeah, I think it as an activity sort of comes into its own, as Amy says, with kids.
It's talking about it in the
Or
process,
like getting you put a picture like on the other side of the
sort of
wall,
over time.
facing the other way. So you have to lift it up, move it from the picture, and then run back and tell somebody there is a boy kicking a ball. Okay, you can go and find something else in the picture. We did it, in Barcelona. I went to the conference about movers, and it was in there, same thing.
Yeah.
Have you used that in your classes?
I've done it with photos, not running, just like dictating things.
And the good news is that you can do all of these things. So I'd like to come back to a couple of things that something that Alex said here. I think that there are some topics that I would be very, very wary about talking in a group, because hot topics. I mean, in Catalonia, the #1 at the moment is are you for or against independence? And this is a really hot topic, and I would be very careful about doing that with the group situation, because I could end up with real friction.
The thing is, sometimes your class actually, you get instigators who try to take it, and you just have to properly shut it down.
Yeah.
In a really quick and efficient but correct way.
Yeah, I mean, I've observed classes where teachers have actually done lessons about debates about abortion and stuff like that.
Whoa.
Yeah, and all right, sensitive topics like that, careful, okay, unless you know the group very, very well. Things with a one-to-one, because there's a relationship of trust that can easily develop. Then and I know, okay, you're my learner. I'm not here to convince you that, and my aim is for you to, whatever your opinion is, my aim is to help you to express that opinion, and I will be as neutral as you like. And in one-to-one situations, you can say, hey, let's what's your take on that? On what's going on here. How do you see it? I think, and there's that kind of, in a sense, confessional atmosphere where nobody's listening to us. I mean, I taught politicians and people high up in the administration who and we started to talk about something, and he said, just a minute, and he goes and closed and said, okay, let's talk about that now.
Well, I think that's very true, and the student has to be, well, from relationship, as you say, you develop a relationship with your student. I teach a lot of one-to-one classes, and you do have that confessional style thing, and you have to make them they know that whatever they say in class, stays in class. It's like Vegas, it doesn't leave. But you also, you said staying neutral, but at the same time, it's really hard sometimes when you have that relationship with a student to not give that student your real feelings on something, and therefore sometimes it doesn't escalate to full blown argument, but you present your arguments, he presents his arguments, and it can get a little tense.
I think the neutrality is when you hear an opinion which is quite different from yours. I know one-to-one who thought the greatest woman of the 20th century was Margaret Thatcher. Okay, that's not my opinion. I don't share that view. But fine. Let's work. Let's work a little bit on you saying why you think that. And then that's fine. Siempre y cuando, you as the teacher and the learner feel comfortable with that. It's not honestly, you don't have to go there, but yeah, you have an opportunity to go there. I had a one-to-one some years ago, came to my office and because we talked about her wedding plans. And she said, she looked very different. I said, what's wrong with it? She said, I decided I'm not getting married. This is like 10 days before the wedding. And I said, well, when did you decide that? And she said, on the stairs. Go. Yeah, really? Yeah. I just said, wow.
The worst part is when you go, why? She goes, because I want to marry you.
Oh, no!
That happened to Daniel months ago.
Sorry, I interrupted somebody.
No, I interrupted you.
Okay, go. What were you going to say?
No, that was it.
I think you both interrupted each other at the same time.
Just imagining the chaos that would ensue.
Yeah.
No, I think
So, yeah,
well, when you have a situation like that, you probably have to, test the waters and see if the person is in the, just ask them outright, do you want to talk about it, or do you want to just go off onto a completely different tangent and forget it?
Exactly. Say, right, this is what I prepared for today. Do you want to do this or not? So, and this is coming back to something what you said before. With one-to-ones, I'll often give them a choice. Okay, look, I've got this sort of ready to go, and this ready to go, and this ready to go. What would you rather do? Very often they'll come in with something. Hey, I've received this email. I have to reply. Look, and that should be fine. Teach my lesson plan. But what I would say to you is, plan in much less detail for a one-to-one class. Why? Because in a group situation, okay, this is going to take 20 minutes, and I can stop it then. I can make sure it doesn't last longer, or I can probably do that. And I can anticipate it's going to be 20 minutes. With a one-to-one, you may plan something that's 20 minutes, and it takes 2 or 40. Because there is no way to know how the conversation that develops between you and the learner, how that will develop, how long it will take, and what other areas it will bring. And she was like, hang on, what's the difference between these two things? So I would say plan much less, in much less detail, because all that time is going to be filled by the interaction that develops. You can have.
I don't agree. Yeah.
I don't agree. I mean, in my experience, well, I think it depends on
Your
the
personality
student.
also.
Yeah, I think it depends on the student, and because the reason, maybe I need to clarify a little bit what I said earlier, because in a group setting, usually you're following a curriculum or a book, and you have these exercises, because of the pair work, the group discussion, you can pretty much kind of time how the hour and a half is going to go. But as you just said, like, you don't know if this exercise is going to take 5 minutes or the whole hour with the student. So for me, I feel like I have to have backups.
Yeah, overplan.
Yeah, I overplan for my one-to-ones because there may be days when the person comes in and they just want to talk and they have had a stressful, or they decide they're not going to get married. And you have this just one-on-one discussion, or they're very and focused.
I think backups is a different thing. I will, as I said, I'll often have 2 or 3 things ready.
Yeah.
You could call those backups, but I'm not going to plan anything in detail. 7 minutes for this, 12 minutes for that.
No.
So
But
fine to have backups, fine to have resources, but don't really do timing.
But realistically, as a teacher, do you plan 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes?
With a group, well, 7 or 8. Well, no, the 10 minutes, 15 minutes, unless I'm planning.
I think, because I do that sometimes too with the groups, because there's certain things that I want to get through. Like if
I have a list. I mean, maybe I don't plan well, but I just kind of write down a list of the things I want to go through in class. I don't really, I know mentally more or less how much time it will take me, but I don't.
That's what I do. Like, it's like, okay, this warmer should take about 5-10 minutes. Then the next one, So then kind of I have an outline, but also
with the one-to-ones, it's always like 50-50. And it is with the student. I think it's Gemma. She was getting married and she walked in, and sometimes you can have your lesson plan. They don't have to say anything.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
the blonde curly.
Yeah, so she was getting married, and she walked in, sat down, put a bag on the floor, and it's like, you know what you've planned is not going to
It's not
happen.
gonna happen,
And you know, she said, I don't know what's worse, planning a wedding or English grammar. Well,
Can I-
pros and cons.
Can
Let's
I-
go. Right, so
Can I just
I
make
have
a
a-
comment? Go on,
Oh, sure,
no, I'll
go
let
ahead,
you,
go ahead.
after you.
No, go ahead. I
I'm
wanted
just-
to change the.
There's a big difference I see between teaching and making sure my students understand. And if I want them to understand what I'm teaching, I cannot play with 7 minutes for this and 12 minutes for that. Because it may take me 3 or 4 explanations until Monse understands it. Or I could say, look, I've done my 7 minutes, tough.
Yeah.
And I don't look, maybe I'm wrong in doing that, but
No.
I am focusing on making sure everybody understands what I'm trying to teach. And I don't worry about how long it's taking me to do that.
Keeping in mind our
Is
group.
Is that wrong?
before.
It's just a guide for the, if you have an hour class.
I don't know,
it's just a
I
guide.
don't know if you all do the same, but
Like thinking, okay, what can I more or less cover in this hour?
Yeah.
And
But I
then if that
think
happens or if that
But
doesn't happen.
after a while, you
as
know,
long as-
you just know that generally
it's
this
more or
kind of level roughly takes about half an hour or a class or 2 classes to sort of do this and this.
But you know, I mean, look, any teacher's book, you know, any lesson, 14B, there will be some some suggested timings, and you know that okay, in my 60 or 85 minutes of class, in order to get to here, I can't spend more than 20 minutes on the listening, for example. And when you're doing a CELTA, you always put down the time. When you're doing the delta, your tutor might say, "Look, hang on, you're allowed 10 minutes for that presentation of lectures, and they took 25. How come? And what was wrong? Well, you didn't actually get to your communicative phase.
It's the same with Soto as well.
Yeah,
They-
exactly. So
For me, it just takes
And that's
all
good
the
teaching, isn't it?
humanity.
is that good teaching if
It's
it's run by the
good.
clock?
I'm not saying it's good
It's
teaching
good
or not.
planning. They said to us it's related, like at the beginning, if you can plan your lesson well, then you should be able to present the lesson fairly well.
I mean, there are
So
good
it's
arguments
related.
for this, because I worked in a place where they expected on December the 14th of all the teachers to have reached page 66.
Yeah.
But that makes it very difficult for you to be creative in your class and make sure your students understand what you're trying to teach. Because if you've got a deadline to say, okay, sorry, next page, and off you go. Half of them are still wondering what the heck you were teaching, but too late.
I think it's more of
I
a
don't think that's the way it
principle for
should
like
be.
in an actual school, because then it's like, okay, well, we know you have your GCSE at the end of this year. We have to have covered all of these things.
I see the logic
So
for
then
it.
it's a different
I just don't think
principle. If it's a private
good way of
academy, okay, if they're doing their first certificate, yes, you need to have covered all of these things by the end of the year. So if you spend half the year on the present simple, then I'm not going to pass. If it's like a separate class, okay, whether they've progressed through all of this or they've just done 3 pages but understood it really well, well done to them.
Half a year on the present. That's
So-
I have a question. I have a question for everybody, actually, and for you as well, Brian. For the one-to-ones, sometimes I get the feeling that unless we're working with a book, let's say one-to-one mainly speaking focused class, okay, the student wants to increase their fluency. It's like you're planning the whole, well, maybe you're not planning the whole year, but like kind of, at least what I do is kind of I look at the MUDs and I think, okay, the student needs to work probably at maybe their B2 plus and focus on this and this. And then sometimes, because it's one-to-one, I find that even as a teacher, like I see them progressing, but because I'm not following a curriculum or a set outline, I feel like maybe the student might feel like they're not really learning anything. They're just talking about different topics, but are they really learning like a
But then I
progression?
think you have to show them. I have a student who did exactly the same thing, and he's like, oh, I've been coming all year, and he's like, I know we've done millions of things, but I don't really know if I've progressed. And I was like, okay, well, tell me the things that we've done. And he's like, we did this, we did this, we did this. And I was like, did you improve in those things? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, so you've learned all of those things. And he's like, okay, yeah, that's true.
I think the checklist is probably more important for private classes than groups.
Yes.
Needs analysis too. If that student has said to you at the beginning of the course, "No, I want fluency. I want to I want to keep my conversational level of English where it is, or I want my conversational level of English to advance, then fine. You've been doing that, but yeah, the needs that artists may throw up, I don't know, to improve in telephoning or emailing or certain lexical areas, certain grammatical areas. The variety is infinite. But yeah, get that down from the beginning, so that so you don't have those situations of the learner. Okay, you're learning what you want to say. Okay, all right, yeah. What are all the topics we talked about? Down. Okay, and when we're talking about restaurants, now you know more expressions and more food vocabulary, don't you? Now you know the grammar to use, don't you? Yeah. So yeah. If your classes have been organized kind of thematically like that, then that will have involved Lexis. Expansion Lexis at least. Okay. Right. So on the next page, there are some real life problems of one-to-one. Could you let's have 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Just 2, 2, and 3. Could you just choose a couple of those questions that you think are interesting and say, as a one-to-one teacher, how you would resolve those situations?
Okay, just go through them one by one.
This one.
Well, I think that in the first case, everybody has their idea or their preconceived idea of what or how to learn or how they should learn a language or the best options to learn a language. And I think that it's the teacher's job.
Do you do it their way or do you do it your way?
I think I try to mix it up.
I'd absolutely try to mix it up.
I think that
If you've got somebody that's in a high level
You cannot do it
position,
your way.
I think if you've got somebody that's in a high level position that is maybe particularly like a strong character, especially like for example here is somebody with maybe the person's director or quite feminist. You'll be very careful that you don't sort of tread on egos and things like that. You must try to weave your spell
in and out,
and
mix
sort
it
of
up.
make them feel like they're doing it their way, but actually introducing a lot of your way.
One-to-one, I think we're there to give the client what he wants. And I got one guy who said, I'm listening in the car, I don't need that. I don't want to do writing, I've got no time. I just want to come here and practice meetings.
Fine.
We find a way of,
Exactly.
that's what he wants.
Exactly, but the difference is this person is being told that she has to learn English. She's not learning it for her own sake. This person is having to learn English because it's what the bank is asking her to do.
Okay.
Like for Magic, for example, they are told that they are doing this course whether they agree or they disagree. And I think that be careful and delicate in that way.
Okay, turning up late doesn't come at all.
But I think you have to, in this case, it's not for you to tell the student, it's for you inform the company.
Absolutely.
And
Inform
the
your boss
company
and the boss
takes care of it.
This is one of the things that came up with secure meetings. Saying enough when our students are there.
That's teams.
Like teams, for example. Okay, but a student that doesn't show up, and in the terms of for example, for Magic again, they want to know who's there and who's not, and why and why
As long
not.
as it's a company issue and nothing to do with
Yeah, you
your
separate yourself
relationship with
completely.
Says, if you're fine doing reading, speaking and listening, helpful when it comes to writing, if you're comfortable
Teacher
with
who
it.
says this or a student?
No, I think it's a student.
It's a teacher who says
Number three,
Yeah, but I'm actually sure it was on the agenda.
number 3, a teacher who says this or a student who says this?
A teacher.
doesn't want to do writing.
Really?
Because I haven't got anything to do. Ah, okay, all right, no, I got it, all right.
I don't understand that.
Well, I don't have that problem.
I don't have that problem either.
Skip that
So
one.
go ahead.
Number 4, teacher who says, when I go into my class, carefully
Well, your
prepare
company is taking the classes and.
Well, that's the essence of
It
one.
happens to me all the time.
But that's the essence of
I don't
one-to-one.
understand the spite. Can you explain the spite? And I'm an hour later explaining the spite.
Yeah, but that's the essence of one-to-one,
At the end of the day, they walk away with the spite and a few others. Happy days.
Happens in group,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
still don't understand
Or
it.
I often say.
Could you do something for that?
Maybe
Yeah.
it's motivation.
And I was
That's our job as teachers, you know.
It's like,
Okay.
Just
You're doing
adaptability.
You're given a one-to-one class report from executive in the restaurant over lunch. That's interesting. Because you had that guy, that lawyer guy who was doing.
Yeah.
And the Adiola was skiing with him and.
Yeah.
Hold on to
Yeah, that was fun. Well, you answer the question to the best of your ability without a board or without a visual, or you take a pen and a napkin and you draw a little schematic on the napkin.
Or you direct in, or you try to direct the conversation.
You write down the question and say, I'll email you the answer later.
Or you say, you find me the answer and tell me.
That's another option.
If you're on one-to-one and you're with an adult, you should be able to have a mature conversation.
Yes.
Absolutely.
About anything.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying
About
it's like if the person's like bam 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 bam, bam, you're like, you know what, let's just chat. So and you properly direct.
Especially
make
within
him
3 or
answer
4
questions,
hours.
You answer questions.
Because you can't play safe for 3 hours.
No.
Okay.
You're due to start classes to a dealer on futures and options market and English for his job. You know nothing about this area whatsoever. Prep.
Get ready.
Learn.
Prep.
Absolutely prep and get the first class up the way with basically him telling you should have prepped and you should have a bunch of stuff, but get him to tell you what it is.
Yeah. But I think you have an opportunity as a teacher to have a little bit of an idea about nearly everything.
Yes.
Not an expert.
No, I think you have to have common knowledge. Yeah.
Even if it's bullshit.
But you see, I
bullshitting my way out of the situation.
absolutely. See, I turn that and I just go, okay, right. So you're the dealing with futures and options. We just met. You tell me what you do, and I go right. And the thing is, he doesn't realise that he's actually learning how to explain what he does for a living to somebody who doesn't know.
As long as he's speaking English.
As long as he's speaking English, exactly.
A student who on day
And
one
then I
says, I
go
want to understand me every time I do a mistake, yeah, well, then you have to explain to that person that, that's not your policy and that you will correct them, but after giving them enough time to speak.
I wouldn't have put it that way. I say, look, you want to get better, I want you to get better, and there's different ways of looking at your mistakes and just me hitting you every time. Rather than saying it's not my policy, I would say, look, you will benefit
I
more.
would never say it's not my policy. That's not what I would say. Dude.
I have it recorded, I have
It's
it
just coming
there.
out. All right. It's on. All right.
This is documentary proof.
A person doing a short intensive course.
Okay, then I'll
Speaking skills,
no, the
methodology,
teacher's fired too.
They're all true situations.
Or we just don't hire a teacher.
Okay, you basically just explain to them, say, listen, this is an intensive course,
I'm like,
and,
who said
and
this?
if you were doing a
We did it
course with
myself
some
this
sort
week.
of
I would never
longevity
admit
to
this.
it, then I could be a little bit more relaxed about it. But as it's like this, I have to kind of intensify my correction.
So, Daniel, which ones did you talk about, and would you like to share your answers?
Sorry,
We discussed all of them.
We discussed all of them.
Wow.
more or less.
Yeah, we believe in professionalism.
Okay, are there anything you want to?
What?
We're
Don't
professionals.
include me in your weird realm.
Sorry. Two of us are professionals. Are you a professional?
Yeah, I'll be a professional with you.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's go through all of them. Number one, what would we do?
I suggested doing something like a slightly higher level listening exercise and asking them to summarize more or less what the speaker was saying, and then be like, okay, tell me all the grammar that they used in their speech. And for sure they won't be able to name it, and you're like, okay, so you understood the context, but you didn't understand the grammar, whereas you're learning.
See, at that point, you're making them look stupid, and I disagree with that completely.
I would, very discreetly or as quietly as possible, mix it up with what they want and your style, weaving it, we're weaving here, and slowly, I don't say, remove completely what they want, but like over a period of time, make them see that there are other options, not just this one.
Try not to make it so dull as
offending
maybe their experiences have been. Maybe ask them why, and find out if they just always had to do it in such a hideous way that they hate the idea. But I think that sometimes it depends on the character. We discussed this. Like sometimes it's fine if you go, yeah, fine, and you show them why they need to do it, with like Amy
Not in
Series.
that such a
Idiot.
direct way, but.
No, but I'm
it's
saying,
just
but I'm
commenting.
okay. This particular person is having to learn English. It is not her choice. This is like Fromage sending their people. You're going to have to do this. Like you have.
She's insisting, I only want to do grammar exercise and translate my sentences.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you've got to
exactly,
that.
but I
You've
You
got
can
to
do
do-
part of that, but you can
Yeah.
introduce other things too.
Let's take
Yeah,
it back a
But then
step. Can
eventually
we
she'll be like, I don't want to do
I-
speaking, I just want to.
go back to the needs analysis? Why is this person? What is this person's need? Does this person actually need to speak English? Maybe yes, maybe no. Maybe what her job is, if this is a banker, maybe her job is to translate some reports for the for research website, whatever, and she doesn't need to speak English. She doesn't want to speak English.
No, but
So
her
let's-
thing is that she's saying it's the only way to learn a language,
Yeah.
not the only
Okay.
what she wants to do.
Fine, but then let's talk and say, right, if that's the only way of successfully learning a language, has that worked for you? The languages in the past, has it worked for you with French? Does it work for you for Italian or German or whatever? Yes, no. We hope they don't say yes, but we have to be prepared for that eventuality. Yes, so say, well, yeah. Certainly grammar exercises can help, certainly translation can help, but there are other things too. And I would actually say, take it from there. Just try to negotiate that, because what we don't want to do, as you said, is antagonize the person. Because as soon as that person is antagonized, they go.
You've got to give them what they ask, I think.
And you've lost it.
Yeah, I can see Amy antagonizing a lot.
If somebody comes in looking for a tie, you can't try and convince them to buy a shirt as well. They want a tie. Sell me a tie, and I'm off. And if some guy says, I just want to do meetings, you just give him meetings. That's what he's paying for. That's what he wants.
So these Chinese shops that sell a bit of everything. A couple of weeks ago, I went to the one and I wanted some fertilizer for my plants in the garden, and they said, no, we haven't got any, but we've got some insecticide. Do you want that? Yeah. So I said, they're so keen to say something that no, I don't want that.
Did you walk out of the shop with the insecticide?
No.
Oh, good job.
A charity shop. I love
The
Chinese.
Chinese
Fertilizer?
Otherwise, you're going to have a problem at the end of the
No,
day.
he said Chinese.
If he said, I wanted this, and you gave him something else, at the end you
No,
could say,
but
look,
this is two different questions. This is
Yeah, this is two
if the
different.
student says, I only want to do grammar exercise and translate, okay. If the student says the only way for anybody to learn a language, which is what this is saying,
Yeah, but there's a conversation
is to do
then. That's
grammar
a-
exercise, then it's a different question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, see,
I walk away from that last sentence. That's
Yeah.
fine, that's your opinion, and
okay, you see what I take from that, the reason that I said that it's I came at it with it could be antagonistic is because the fact that this person, by saying that, means that this person is quite headstrong and maybe quite demanding and likes control or whatever, and maybe she's or he is in a position of certain level of power, whatever, in their job. And I think that by making them look foolish in that way, you don't think you are, but maybe they take it as like sort of a battle and conflict, and they don't like the fact that they do that, and maybe they used to kind of steamrollering people. And for me, I would just be like, oh, right, okay, well, that's an interesting way. And I would just, like Alex said, I would just try to integrate and weave as much as I could of my way into the class without opposing the person in what they want.
Again, we need to, dialogue is key here, I think. And we said, okay, what other ways of learning another language have you tried? Yeah, maybe this person said, oh yeah, I did an immersion course, and I did a silent way course, and I did a Suggestipedia course, and I did Callum method, and then none of them worked, but this works for me. Okay, fine. Well, that's very interesting to know. Yeah. So maybe this person has had some very, very negative experiences in the past.
there are other ways of playing the game here. You give him the information about these grammar exercises in audio. So he has to listen to them and then write the thing, like a dictation. So without realizing it, he's actually listening to English and then writing this grammar exercise. Don't give him a sheet and play with that, or you dictate it while he's writing, you speak it. So he's got to hear you doing it. rather than giving them a piece of paper to play with grammar exercises.
Can we move on?
No, we're staying on this.
Second one.
I would approach it at the start, kind of like to a child, being like, okay, well, let's think about this. Your boss or the company is paying for the classes, and what am I supposed to do? I mean, I can't not tell them anything just because.
I think, well, sorry.
No, just because it's not a problem for you.
But I think for me, this is like a completely, it's a situation that is not teacher-student. I think this is company.
No, yeah,
situation,
definitely.
You know.
But the company has to know about it.
Yeah,
No.
if
What I
there is a
mean is
company.
inform your company to
In this
inform
case,
their
there's a
company.
company.
Okay.
The person
and
is
then-
sent
okay.
by
you
this
know.
company.
Okay.
So it's a company issue, and that's like a delicate topic, and so basically I would tell you, and you can call the company and tell the company, and the company.
But
does whatever.
I-
It depends on the
yeah,
person as well.
that's-
It's a one-to-one kind of class. Over time, you're going to have sort of build up a relationship with this person, and maybe from
But they
that
don't
you
come.
can. Yeah, but
Yeah.
maybe from that, from the
Okay, so you're seeing it as an opportunity to build a relationship on that
Yeah, but I think
conversation.
from the outstart, you can say that, okay, you have to come here, I have to teach you, what can we do to make this fun?
Yeah.
Yeah. What, you have to come, what would you like from the
Yeah.
class?
Asking
Yeah.
questions. The first question I would ask is this timetable okay for you? Yes, the timetable is okay. All right, so what's going on? Is this timetable not okay for you? Oh, really? Yeah. I actually wanted classes in the evening, not in the morning, or vice versa. See, this happened to me 2 years ago, and the student said to me, my father's dying. But, oh, that's a bit of a paradigm shift, that changes everything. Okay, I'm sorry, so, I had no idea. Yeah, I don't like talking about it. And nobody, the people at work don't know.
Weird, isn't it? They tell you, but they don't tell the people they work with.
Yeah.
And I think doing like a mixture, so you have the initial couple of plans. If it keeps happening, obviously you don't know them very well. So it's like kind of, what happened for the past couple of weeks? Were you caught up at work? If they're like, I don't like English, then it's a different situation. If they have an excuse, then you're like, well, I'm sorry, I have to be here. Is our policy or whatever, if you don't attend a certain percentage of classes, I have to inform your company. Are you comfortable with that? If not. If they're not, okay, so how are we going to sort out the situation? If they're like, okay, fine, tell the company. And then it's between the company and the client.
There is a little problem here that somebody has to pay for the classes, okay? And if the guy doesn't have the attendance that the company requires, he ends up paying from his pocket. Now, he may be I've got one, really good student, really good guy, but he's in meetings all over the place and he misses classes. And he says at the end, if you say to them that I've missed, I don't know, 60% of classes, I lose a lot of money.
Yeah.
I'd really like, if you don't do that, I prefer it. Now, he's a really good student, and I don't want to lose this guy as a student.
It does
So what
put
do
us
you
in
do?
a difficult position.
Xavi of SDA. He said, look, they send me all over the place, or Oscar from BPA, another guy, really good guy. He said, look, I work down there, and to get here.
Yes, but there are companies, I mean, I think.
If you're from BPA and say, look, the guy's missed so many classes, and he ends up
but the thing
paying.
is, I've had students where, if they, credit, for example, also has this policy, but if the employee contacts the human resources ahead of time and says, or the day of and says, I'm going to be in this meeting, it's impossible logistically, the company usually excuses that. They don't count that as like a list.
Yeah.
I'm just saying there are other circumstances that can
I
affect the
think
situation.
Well,
what
the thing is
happens.
that if we do that and then they find out, I mean, that's
Yes.
a really, that this has happened once.
This is
And
a
it was a
liability
big
for
problem
the
with Faith
company.
Andorra.
And the teacher, you cannot make that decision. You can't make that call. That has to be, it's a company to company call.
What we have done in some cases, in this case, for example, I think it was with Arias Garrota, he missed a few days, and it was the same thing. I need 70 or 80% for my company to pay for this. I only came for 60%. So and he was like, but I did come to some conversation classes. I was like, okay, so in the attendance paper, what we did was we marked that he didn't come to 2 of his classes, but that he did make it up by coming to the conversation classes. I would think that would be the easiest thing, being like, listen, okay, make an effort to come on Friday, and we can put that in your attendance paper, because if we imagine the
No, I had a
HR
conversation with Anna involved, so it was all.
I mean, imagine HR is like, but they were at a meeting at this time. How is it possible that they were in class? Are they lying? Does that mean that they're lying about everyone? Okay, we don't want to work with them.
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to move a little bit faster because we've still got a lot to get through on this. It's good that you have so much to say. Number 3, okay, you said you sacked that teacher. Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, my number, or you wouldn't hire that teacher. Is that right? Yeah, basically, remember the thing I showed you yesterday where, all right, you set the writing task and you're doing exactly the same writing task at the same time and you switch. Or you can be preparing those little cards, those cards that you saw, you passed around yesterday. I always carry some of them, in classes, one-to-ones. Okay, number 4. Going to class with perfectly prepared lesson. She keeps asking me about things that don't come to lesson. I said, right, more for you. Don't prepare in so much detail. And whatever happens, don't let your lesson plan come between you and the learner.
Good point.
So the important thing is the person in front of you, not the piece of paper in front of you. You're lesson plan. And maybe the student, maybe the student is quite within her rights to ask those questions. She's using this time. It's good that she has questions.
You can always think better for me. I have my next class prepared.
Sorry?
No, good for me. I have my next class prepared.
You're given a one-to-one and important execs help in a restaurant over lunch. You like shooting questions to you. What's the difference between after and afterwards? Let's say for the time being that question throws you. Flip the table.
There's a fly in my food.
I don't mean flip the table. I mean flip the table or flip the card, whatever. Basically, put him on his back foot, not you on your back foot, and just like you take control of the conversation and go, he's an exec, okay, so fire lots of things at him that's about his job, that's about him.
Yeah, but if he says what's the difference between after and afterwards, and you say, okay, so tell me about your.
No, I don't mean that. You try to answer the question as best you can, and if you need to, and if you don't have the answer, then you basically say, I will, I'll find out the exact whatever, and I'll email it to you. And send me an email with any other queries that you've got, and I'll answer them all in one go.
Yeah.
Can you say I don't know as a teacher?
Of course you can.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
I would give examples because
can't
usually
remember.
you can think of some kind of example of the context and be like, we would use this context, but I wouldn't actually know how to explain the difference right now. So you can just.
But you can make sentences and try and analyze those sentences with him so that he can see where the differences are.
That's a good question.
If you're not sure, you can dig yourself into a hole with that.
The background to this was this is the person who was the rector of the Barcelona Stock Exchange, and he had no time for classes, but every day he had to have lunch, and every day he had lunch with a different teacher. A small table, no preparation. And so it was conversation. Any prep the teacher did would be looking at the day's news. Ideally financial business, but it could be current affairs, all the kind of things that we saw in the quiz on day one. But this one teacher, a guy called Bob, who said, "Look, I don't know the answer to those questions," and I said to him, "I don't know." Right, what you could do is say, we've got something that's really good about the difference between after and afterwards in the teacher's room. I'll bring it on Tuesday. Or I'll send
I'll do my research.
Or maybe, if you don't feel good about answering grammar questions, just say at the very end of the lunch, just tell me any questions you have so that I can bring something next time. We're not going to do a worksheet, because you're going to get Thatcher all over it, But then I can give you a good explanation.
I don't think there's any problem with saying I don't know.
Sorry?
I don't think there's any real problem with saying I don't know.
But I will find out.
Is everybody expected to know everything in the world?
Yeah.
I think.
But students expect their teacher.
I think that as long as, it can't happen like every class, of course not, or like very frequently, but if it happens once in a while and you can look at and you back that up with, I will look into it or I will inform you, I have no problem.
If it's a grammar question that an intermediate student has, then I think that student is within his rights to expect the teacher.
If it's a grammar question.
Yeah.
If it's a question like, what is the meaning of the word aki in English?
Meaning of
the word aki in English?
Yeah, aki.
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 Aki. Do you know?
A-C-Q-I. UI.
A-C-Q-U-I. Is that an acronym?
No.
No, aki.
Aki.
No, vivo aquí.
Here.
Vivo aquí. Oh, no. in
The
Spanish.
word, the meaning of the word aquí in English.
Here, no?
No. It's an acquisition. It's a company acquisition takeover.
Okay, I've never come across that.
But this has happened to me.
It's
So
not a
what-
Spanish word.
No, it comes from French. Acquisition.
Vivo aquí.
No.
No.
No, it's not a
No, I thought you meant like the
AC.
Spanish word. No, but in
Aki.
English.
ACQUI.
Imagine
in
this is in an
English.
English
Aki.
text.
Ah, you see it in an
It's an
English.
English word.
Okay, I mean, what I've always said is acquisitions, fine, but I mean, that's
In European
a
documents,
very,
EU documents,
Yeah.
this is what you have.
But yeah, these kind of questions can arise
What
at
do you
any
say to
level.
that?
Some strange
I don't
questions
know.
that
I will look into it and let you
Advanced
know.
Yeah, yeah.
so that you get,
Yeah,
you know,
you say this must be specific.
inversion and
I'm not familiar with this
fronting and
context
stuff like
at all.
that. They come up in the middle of the class.
okay, moving on to
so
number,
we'll
to
do a
number
class on that.
6.
You need to do like some background research is your responsibility.
Yeah.
And use the first lesson to gain as much information about specifically
Yeah,
what
and-
they
and
do.
The
what
student
they-
can help you with that, yeah.
You can use the
Like-
student to help you.
Like I said,
actually.
check out the needs analysis and check out where their level is.
Yeah.
Can they explain it to you what they do? Is it
Exactly.
part of?
Yeah.
You know?
Quite, there's a very good chance that the English that's used, the English that person uses for her job, his job, is stuff that stuff that he knows already. Otherwise, how would he be able to do his job? But what that person may not understand or may have problems with is, how to be polite, how to greet visitors, how to socialize, how to talk about all the other. Quite probably the key lexis is known already. So you probably don't have to end up teaching that. Number 7.
Explain different ways of, yeah.
Yeah, I think we
Set
covered
up a
that.
policy.
Number 8.
Same thing. So something like explain, as Smith said, explain your position. Like, okay, what would be the best? Obviously, explain to them what's your aim, fluency or accuracy. If they're not interested in accuracy, okay, then it's a different skill.
But
And then reaching a point of suggestion, like, well, as you said, as my job as a teacher, what's my aim then? And then, okay, do you prefer me correcting you orally? Do you want me to write down your mistakes, email it to you? Do you want me to write down your mistakes and give you the corrections?
I think it's also if it's an intensive course like this one is now, a short intensive course, I've got to do as much as I can in the time that I'm given. So I will be correcting you more than I maybe would in a long-term course or something like that, and then the various ways I can explain.
Yeah, student says that to you, the first thing he says, okay, let me correct you on that.
Yeah, I think sometimes people confuse two words, correcting and interrupting. Yeah, maybe the person is very happy to be correcting, you could be taking notes, and then at the end of the spiel, you provide feedback. Some good things you said about this. They said, now this was a bit ambiguous, and let's go back and look at the pronunciation of this.
Okay.
And they
So
say,
good
"What's
note taking
ambiguous?"
is part of it.
Okay, back to you tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree
And
with that.
number 9.
Oh.
And realize what's realistic.
I'll do what I can.
I would say before that.
Yes.
People use these silly expressions like 4 weeks. What does 4 weeks mean? Have we got 20 hours a week or 25 hours a week? In which case, it's an intensive course. We've got maybe 80, 90, 100 hours. Okay, we can get you to kind of maybe towards a pre-end level in that time. Or are we talking about 2 hours a week? In which case, we've got 8 hours. Don't talk to me about weeks, talk to me about hours. The thing you said the other day about, I've been skiing for 20 years. You said, well, in fact, I've been skiing for about 4 hours a day on 16 Saturdays and, So, how many hours is that in reality?
It's not. In terms of a level of ability of that, it's nothing.
Okay, with one-to-ones and small group classes, because most of what's true about one-to-one is actually, I think, applicable to a lot of your tiny classes here, which is fantastic. I'd like to get Smith to describe one of these still lines.
Now?
You have a few seconds to prepare. And you are B1 level learner. We've been working on prepositions of place. We have pre-taught some key vocabulary like jar, jug, cherries, fish, pears, watermelon, cheese, bread, etc. So he's going to describe one of those pictures, and your task is to say which one.
I can see a watermelon, no?
Ready?
Yep.
Okay, in this picture, I can see a jug, a piece of bread, and some olives, and a bottle at the as well. The olives are in front of the jug, and the piece of bread is on the left, slightly behind the jug.
Slightly.
You're B1.
That's right.
Wow, that's really good B1.
I must be
Behind, I only put behind, in front of, and next to.
No, slightly.
Slightly.
Okay, did I say slightly? I didn't mean slightly. I mean nearly.
Okay, fine. Great. And there are, of course, there are lots of things. This could be a whole lesson. Talking about where things are. Something is behind, in front of, next to, beside, not far from. Okay, something else I do more often is, what have these got in common?
They're portraits.
And old, and
A little bit disturbing.
Yeah,
and
it's very dark.
and
Same artist,
Crazy.
you know?
yes, and
They're all creepy and they follow you when you look at them.
yeah, maybe, and
All of them except for one are wearing a hat.
yes, and
They all have curly hair.
They're
yes,
all-
and
they're
Same
all-
guy. It's the same guy.
ding,
It's the
Same guy. This is
guy.
Rubens.
and they are all
Is it Rubens?
They are all
Yeah.
self-portraits.
Self-portraits.
I did this last summer with a.
What kind of
Not
ego
very
have you got to
creative.
paint that?
Yeah, but it's a very good record of how his face has changed.
With a Russian teenager, and she said, I think they're all portraits, because I took, I input portraits. I think they're all portraits, and I went, self-portraits, and she said, of Beethoven. And I said, well, Tatiana, not Beethoven, Rembrandt.
Rembrandt, yeah.
Rembrandt. Okay, so what's the next thing that people will automatically start trying to do?
Which
Put
one
them in
goes
80s.
first from
First to last.
first to last?
Yeah, people will automatically, even without you saying anything. So, hey, what do you do? I put them in order. What order? Chronological order. Yeah.
Hat size order.
So, we've got more. I could ask somebody to do that.
I'll try it.
Well,
D goes first.
no, but I'll do it differently. There you are. Put that above one of the pictures.
What, the age?
Yeah,
I presume.
put that above one of the pictures. Put that above one of the pictures. Tess?
Whoa. Get out of the way, Bobby.
I can't see one point.
Above. Right.
Wow, Bobby,
Let's
you
check
went
your
really
instructions.
high.
I said above.
What's the oldest age?
Uh,
I mean, it could be
No,
the
I
day
think this
also.
one's, he's.
the oldest is this.
That's the old.
I think that one could be
Who's
both
the
of us.
oldest?
Maybe he was just sick the day he painted himself.
What? No way, that's not.
So it gets harder when they get like past 50.
So maybe like 52, 55,
43.
54, 55.
I got a 63.
The first one is also, the first one was a tiny bit younger than this one.
39.
I got the first one.
All right, out of the way, all of you.
See,
This is
oh
definitely the
guys,
oldest.
somebody's taking 37 because that definitely ain't it. Neither of that.
So then we need to move them all up.
Yeah, I reckon
It's a nice little interactive task.
Yeah.
9.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Did he not have anybody else to pay during his mid
Who said
30s?
that?
34,
63.
37,
No,
39.
He did, that's when he was doing well.
Yeah, this one, this one.
He's paying himself. 55, 58.
Yeah, but
That's not 55.
That's like
Not
85.
a chance.
Well, the oldest one is 63, and
Run
he
around.
is older.
Which ones have you got right?
Okay, in fact, D is the youngest.
Wow.
He's 23 there. And the next,
Yeah.
he has a big thing.
G. No.
Paul.
yeah,
G.
there he is. Okay, the correct order is this. Next is B.
The youngest was D, no?
Yeah.
And the one D is the one that he's not wearing a hat.
Yeah.
Couldn't afford a hat.
No, that was my actually that was my weird
And then we
logic.
have this. Oops.
Wow, he didn't age too well there, did he? From he was like 34 to 30.
And then, oops, we
Lost it there, but record of the whole thing.
We've got some poetry in it.
28, 28.
I'm good at all.
32, 34, 37, 39,
Real life.
52.
Real life.
Are those correct?
Program. Really beautiful. It's not going on my
These.
There's comments.
Fine. 2,
Real life.
2,
Real life is real life. It's not
Okay,
artificial.
Wait, too far up.
we end up with this.
So it's in my private channel.
And what we've actually created a kind of communication gap here because people will automatically say, as you did, I don't believe it. I don't believe but you're looking at, I don't know, this one, is it this? You said something, he looks 80. Okay, so okay, from a teaching point of view, we've got the sense verbs. He looks, he seems. Yeah. From a teaching point of view, this the student then has to justify the choice of saying looks older, or as Smith would say, slightly older. Yeah, slightly younger, or a lot older, older than, and all of that. And
They're just postcards that you don't know.
and yeah, and then you talk about, wow,
Run the internet test. These pictures aren't
54 years old. Yeah, and there's a real shock because you see somebody who looks like that and you don't think they're 54 today. So if you want to do a little bit of research depending on the student's level, you need to tell them a little bit about the guy's life, some of the tragedies. He actually had a very
tragedy.
This is the year before he died, and somebody in that period, in the 17th century to live to 63, was quite an achievement anyway.
Yeah.
Preparations I know, but depending on what the level of your student, you can do all kinds of different things with it. Yeah. Okay. How old is your husband? How old are your brothers? How old is your father? Does he look like that? No. Well, how does he look different? And the students are asking you for, how do you say these things? Wrinkles. Oh, sorry, these things. Yeah, wrinkles. So yeah, any lexis is emerging from what the student wants to know.
Yeah.
You may be inputting words like chain or cape or hat.
Ridiculous hat.
Or adjective, or any kinds of adjectives: melancholy, disturbing, frightening, scary. Okay, just something else which is not on your booklet. Well, sorry, it's much too small.
Zoom in on your computer.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a page from a brilliant book called One to One by Peter Wilberg, A Teacher's Handbook. It's another course book. it's a handbook, and it's full of great ideas for teaching one-to-one lessons. Came out in 1987, but it was like 100 years ahead of its time. One of the greatest books I've ever seen about teaching. And
Do you have a copy of it here now?
no, I don't know. Just this is just suggestions for biographical talks. Okay, now these are things, going back to what we were saying before, perhaps you may not talk about in a group situation. It's up to you. But just like that, and preparing a little speech about that, which can be 1 minute long. That could be a whole lesson.
Easy.
Yeah, I think and linking your opinion to your reason. Introduction, opinion, reason, conclusion. Again, the strangest person I ever met, the best year of my life, the longest minute I've done, the worst job I ever had. My closest call with death. And the 3 most important principles I follow.
Could you write the title on the board?
1, 2, 1.
Okay, mention it. Okay.
It's kind of disturbing, Robert, that you laughed at that.
If you get hold of it, I'll photocopy your one.
That's a daily occurrence.
Okay, and then the next page in your booklet has a kind of summary.
The Ten Commandments. I think the unpredictability keeps the past alive.
Because I always have some things ready to go. With something takes less time than I thought, or I need a bridge activity, or what I'm doing is not working. I might just say, right, here are some paintings. The only thing they have in common is they're all 20th century famous works of art. Put them in order of how much you like them. There's a gist task. Put them in order how much you like, going from the ones that I like the most, the ones I like the least, and then say why.
It's an interesting one.
Preparation time is 0. Or you can say, well, I'm going to describe one of these pictures, but I'm not going to give you the easiest clues first. I'm going to give you a more. I'm going to write 5 clues, and number 5 will be the easiest, and number 1 will be the most difficult. Or there may be pictures that have a kind of narrative, like. It's not narrative. I'm going to show you. Have a look at one of those.
Check it out, I've got Gandalf in mine.
This is a really good thing.
Don't worry, you don't need to hide your idea this time.
This idea, no, I really like it. And the other one too, and that one.
Okay, so
visual stimulation, kind of.
There is.
You see.
Yeah.
So we'd have to lift his postcards then.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so Amy, can you show us the Goya? No, that one, the Goya.
So uneducated, Amy. Oh my god.
Okay.
The other Goya.
Okay, most Spanish people will recognize that painting as a Goya. Okay, but it really, yeah, that's not the point. The thing is, what's going? Can you just describe what's going on in that picture?
There's some kind of like fight or battle scene, I should assume, in a village of some sort.
Are they soldiers?
No.
So is it a fight or a
Well,
battle?
there is some soldiers, yes, but it's mainly local people fighting each other, I would say.
Okay, and what kind of place is it? Is it a
In
farm?
the countryside.
Civil War? Civil War?
Fairly remote. It's
When was Goya?
in the background.
When did he live?
Yeah,
Civil War or before?
It's a country tavern, and there's a fight going on. There's a brawl. You may want to teach the word brawl, maybe not. And so, okay, it's 200 years ago. A brawl. Somebody's had to. Why somebody's? I don't know. Somebody tried. Why are they fighting? What are the possible reasons? Somebody tried to rob somebody. Somebody got drunk, or somebody crashed into. I don't know.
You could just put all the question words on the word.
Somebody offended, yes, and then say, okay, you. This is a writing task. You were a witness. You saw that happen. You are Goya, let's say, and a magistrate is asking you to describe what you saw. That's a little writing task. Or you could be one of the people involved in that.
You could even give people
And
different
you say,
roles.
yeah, I just got off my horse, and then I was going into the tavern when suddenly. So I think right. As teachers, we know this is probably going to involve past continuous and past perfect to set up the situation. Then a narrative in the past simple. Yeah, and that could be as simple or as complex as it could be a
morning with a bad feeling.
Whatever. So look at your picture or pictures and think, what kind of narrative could you or dialogue, could you get out of that?
You can also make the group create a story. One, he gives me the first 2 lines of the situation, and somebody adds to that.
Yeah, or yes, yeah, group or one-to-ones, whatever we're doing. Yeah. Okay.
There's a lot to be taken from a postcard, isn't it?
Yeah. I have literally thousands of them in my office ready to go.
So you won't notice these.
Sorry?
So you won't notice these.
These are the best. No, years of having to do standby lessons with almost no time. Okay, take these, go.
Mine's properly creepy. Can I change it?
Give me one, I'll take it. I'll give you it.
Okay, so can I have this back now?
No.
I'm sure you can imagine some kind of story. Again, what Tess was saying a moment ago about question words. Look at this one. Can you just describe the picture of what's going on?
Am I show it to them or no?
No, well, we can describe it because they can't see it.
Okay, so there must have been a fight that took place beforehand.
What do we call that kind of fight, Tess? It has a special word, doesn't it?
Duel.
Thank you, Tess.
Duel.
Tess was struggling.
Yeah.
Duel.
She's not used to duels.
She missed last time.
She wasn't here when we did duel last week. Yeah.
A man has been injured. He's wearing white clothes. 3 men are trying to help him, and 2 other men are walking away. I assume they won the battle, the fight, the duel. It's a gloomy day. Seems like it's winter. The
What time
That's
of
just
day?
England.
Time of day.
dawn or I would say it's probably evening.
Yes,
actually.
No, no,
always early morning, always early morning.
What's strange about the guy in white? The way that he's dressed.
He chose to wear white. Who wears
He
white
looks-
to a
I
duel?
assume that he's some kind of monk, priest, or some figure. I wouldn't know. He's not wearing priest clothes, but I would assume that he is some kind of figure. I don't
See
know.
it?
It's a shame. He's dressed as a harlequin.
That's exactly
Yeah.
what it spells.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. We'll work on the
On the tip of my tongue.
lenses. We'll work on the lenses next time. Yeah, but okay, and yeah, exactly. You don't wear white for a duel because you're just asking. Yeah, you'll stand out. Yeah. So this is some kind of carnival.
Looks like theatre
Event,
to me.
yeah. So these people here are wearing very strange clothes. Yeah, so some kind of dawn event, carnival is going on. What
Said the
could
wrong
have
thing.
happened? What must have happened? What happened before?
You said the wrong thing.
Yeah, somebody.
The amazing thing about dueling was it was the most ridiculously stupid way to solve anything, and they just presented it as being this like very kind of, oh no, it's very correct.
Pretty
Because
Because you said I had bad hair, duel, sir.
Yeah.
I should kill you for the comment.
It's conclusive.
Okay,
See you at dawn.
what we've looked at so far have been paintings. Here's some photos. I have a collection of black and white documentary photos. Are you familiar with this picture? Have you seen this before? Okay, there's a background to this picture. This is the Berlin airlift. You heard of the Berlin airlift?
Yeah. No. What happened?
Immediately after the Second World War, when Berlin was divided between the States, Soviet Union, Britain, and France in different zones, the Russians actually closed off the one road that went from West Germany to East Germany. And so there were 2.5 million people in Berlin and West Berlin, and they had no food.
But they were bringing
They had
caffeine.
no coal. They had no oil. They had no medicine. They had no blankets. This is just after the war. The city was still decimated, and the Russians basically tried to, starve them into a surrender because they cut off the water supply, they cut off the power supply, and everything. And so the United States Air Force and Royal Air Force mounted this Berlin Air Force flying in a plane like this, something like every 49 seconds, to keep West Berlin alive. Okay, the irony of this is, these same kind of planes have been bombing Berlin 2 years before, but that's another story. And the situation that one of our teachers had a student who was known as being the most boring lawyer you could ever possibly imagine. And the teacher said to him, sorry, the account I gave to him, he said, "This boy is you." It's 1946. 50 years later, this photo emerges on the BBC and something like, "Do you recognize anybody in this picture? Are you, it's a typical thing you see every day in the news." And this student, who was B1 level, wrote a text that was about 500 words long, and it was sensational. What he'd done, he'd invented this story about his life, how his family had been killed, father had been in the war, but he still had a young sister who he had to look after. So he'd done a bit of research about the Berlin airlift, but he invented the rest of the story, and he could reach something that was sensational. So what does that say to us? And this, people who we may think are dull and boring can, if the right button is pushed, exactly, can produce and can be inspired, can be motivated to produce sensational work, which is shown in theory way above their level. I want to say, hey,
Ruben.
You're bleeding.
yeah.
I almost got shot
I've had him laughing.
by the Russian guards on the Victory
It's
Strada.
emerging.
Sorry?
I almost got shot when I was 19 years old.
You have a private
We were playing US
yeah.
airport flights, air bases,
I would just be
and basically we were just like doing the events, and it was doing the Christmas events in 1989. So it was before, literally a week before they called it out. And two of the guys took us out after the concert, took us out and said like, "Oh, we'll go and we'll show you." Because I said, "I want to see the Brandenburg Gate." And he's, come on, show the wall. And I was properly ignorant about it in Berlin. They explained loads. I was walking up there, basically we're walking down sort of basically the Victory Strada and up towards, I can't remember the name of the road, just before the Brandenburg Gate, where there was a pitch, and there was the Russian side where all the Russian generals are buried in their tanks, which is like protected and arms protected. And then the other side, of which there is no real way to know where you are, you just sort of have to know. And we were walking up, myself and the drummer walking up this side, and all the rest of the guys are walking on this side. And all of a sudden, these two guys just come out of absolutely nowhere, flat out, like this, blah, 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 blah in Russian. And we're just like, what? Bearing in mind, we're drunk.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 this. Like, what? Like this. Next thing we know, these two GIs come properly storming across, stand in front of these Russian guys and just like defuse the situation, grab us and take us onto that. I can't remember if it was the British side or the American side at that point. I can't remember the division. But basically, we were just walking up the wrong side and we almost got shot. And then the GIs explained fully about it. They did actually tell us before, follow us, stay next to us, do not walk. And we were just walking.
Okay, sorry to this is a little thing I have on cards, but I haven't got those cards here. What's the narrative here?
Dating, romance.
Get.
Yeah. So the task for the learner or the learners, because you can do it in a small group, is put them in order.
I've done that before.
Yeah. Put them in order. Put them in the past. Tell a little story. It could be you or somebody you know, a friend of mine, or you could even put them in a circle, because we've got to start again here. You know.
Do you need an ambulance?
So get bored, get divorced.
Another thing to do here.
Bankrupt.
Okay, let's work on the past simple of these words. One thing, because this is often a tricky one. And of course, if your learners are Spanish, you've got these interesting abrirse, casarse, comprometerse. So you've got, wow, here's a really interesting hint for you that a get verb can often be in Spanish or in Catalan a reflexive. Well, that's a really good language point for me to know. Yeah. Okay. This thing about parallel writing. This is Ferran. He told me a situation with this one-to-one, and he revealed that it wasn't supposed to be a one-to-one, but he was in his shooting that day, and he revealed he was actually shitting himself about losing his job and what's going to happen to his company. And he opened up, and I helped him a bit with the English, and I said, okay, Ferran, I'm going to write down exactly what I remember, what you just told me, and you do the same in English. So I wrote this down from memory, from what he had just told me in English. The problem is that Autoterminal de Barcelona is losing clients. At the moment, there are only 2 important clients left, Mazda and Nissan. All the others have gone to South Africa. This guy's about 50 years old. He's been in the company since he was 17 or 18, and the company's going down the tube. And he's worried. Okay, oof, the company goes down the tube. Where does that leave me? With my family and my age and my lowest level English. And so I wrote. This is what I wrote. What's the cause of the problem? In my opinion, ATB is badly managed. The managing director is 65 and he plans to retire next year. His deputy is incompetent. And many of our clients are left because they don't feel well treated by us. Besides, Citroni's prices are lower than ours. The result is that Autoterminal Barcelona has laid off 30%, 35%, I can't remember, of its staff. This is, the economic crisis seen up close. This is a company that's going down the tube, and somebody who's invested a lot of his life into it. And so I wrote that. We switched papers, and he corrected any misinformation in mine, and I corrected the English in his. We switched together. Yeah, with me. So.
Apostrophe and Ferran.
Sorry? It is there.
It is there.
It is there.
Sorry, no, my glasses, Robert.
It's blind.
Okay, so the next class, I came back with him with this. I typed it up, and there's language focus here. What does left mean here? When do we use besides? If somebody gets laid off, what happens to them, and so on. So he's getting lexical attention there. And then in the next class, again, this in theory, I'm really pushing him for the level. This seems to be above his level. A gap fill. I've basically taken out 20 words, and he has to put them back in. Now, this looks like a kind of first certificate task, but it's nowhere. His level is way below that. But he knows the text, and he knows the story because it's his story.
Mm-hmm.
So he has a personal involvement and engagement with the language and this narrative, let's say. Here's just a little summary. By an amazing coincidence, I'm the co-author of a couple of course books on teaching one-to-one. Isn't that a surprise? By the Oxford University Press, and this is one-to-one intermediate plus. And this is the syllabus page, and the idea of this is it's completely non-linear. You can do any unit in any order. And the idea is that the student, because the student in one-to-one is going to be much more proactive than the student in the group, the student chooses what she wants to do. And on the multi-one, there's a function where she can actually choose the units and email that to the teacher.
You brought some free copies with you for that?
Unfortunately not. So the student, so the student actually says the student is proactive in planning the course. Saying, look, I want to do this block, and then here I want to do 15, 12, 11, 6, 35. Boom, great. You're doing my work for me, but you've chosen these things, so you're motivated, you've got your engagement is there for that. And that's just, okay, here's an example unit. Oops. And this is how I get around life.
Has that been an episode of Doctor Who?
Sorry, it's my life. Alright, this is how to compromise. I can't do it. Okay, fine, whatever.
Use the pluses and minuses.
You don't need to be able to read it. No, so each double-page spread is a self-contained unit. There's a starter. Okay, if you speak Catalan or Spanish as a first language, compromise is a false friend. So there's a little bit about that, saying what compromise is it. A starter, and then the expressions here. So there's almost all the language is input through a listening. So there's a listening comprehension task. So we've got 3 tasks where there's a conflict between the manager of a Turkish restaurant in Dublin and the owner. She has to go home to Turkey, family crisis. He can't let her go. And they, guess what?
They're Turkish.
Sorry?
Well, they're Turkish. So
He's Irish.
Oh, well.
He's Irish, and he's the guy who's put the money in. He's the owner of the restaurant, but the manager is Turkish. Like day-to-day manager is Turkish, actually. And so the students discover all the language in the audio text, so they get it in audio form first rather than print form first. So you're forcing them to identify in speech. And then the input comes through here, these expressions. I've been doing some thinking, why don't we just sleep on it? How about what is green, and so on and so on. And then a couple of writing tasks related to that, a language box and some speaking. And each of these units could is between 1 hour and 2 hours of work, depending on how much you do. That's about all I have to say about that. Right, let's
We've gone way over.
Forest Hill.
Yeah, that's right. You remember. Any last minute questions about one-to-ones?
No, but for me, very interesting. All the whole concepts and
Yeah,
ideas,
Yeah.
and the whole visual aspect.
Yeah. In a sense, you guys are in a very, very unique position because your classes are so small. So a lot of what can be done with one-to-ones can be done with your small group, and you've got these lovely little tables, which are great for putting on. One last thing about cards. This is another series I have of the world from the air. You've probably seen some of these, bought in different places.
All these would be in the internet, I imagine, would they?
Yeah.
National Geographic.
You can print them out and
I
classify
know.
them.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, task for student or students is, okay, here we are in July 2015, the company you work for, which is an international company or whatever, are now starting to produce their calendar, their company calendar for 2016. And they want these beautiful international images for all the offices, maybe to give to clients, who knows, you decide, yeah? And you have to choose 4 images, you have to choose 4 images, no, 6 images. January, February, March, April, one for every 2 months. And so first of all, you say, you decide, individually or as a pair, what are your criteria? Well, green because the company colors are green, or whatever. Or they have to be positive images, or whatever. They have to show different continents. Fine. You can look on the back if you want, but the text is in Polish. So Warsaw. That's fine.
Yeah,
That's fine.
That's
Okay, so student does that. Okay, and then he, she, or they make the decision, and then they give you the justification. Why have you chosen these images? Okay, and anything you say, you can write. Okay, so now you write that as a little report to send to your head office. While they're doing that, you're actually writing another little thing saying, sorry, budget constraints, it can't be 6, it has to be 3. 1 for January, February, March, April. So you throw a spanner in the works. And so they have to, especially if they've done it too fast for you. Oh God, I've got 20 minutes left, what am I going to do? Okay, so go back again and then reduce it to 3.
Let's go.
And the interaction, if you're doing it with more than one student, no, this words like 2 plus adjective, not enough, too similar, not clear enough, whatever. Okay, let's have a break.